In Deuteronomy 19:15-21, God lays down laws concerning witnesses. At first glance, it may sound like legal technicalities, but what we are really reading is God's heart for justice, truth, and the protection of the innocent.
A single witness shall not suffice against a person for any crime or for any wrong in connection with any offense that he has committed. Only on the evidence of 2 witnesses or of 3 witnesses shall a charge be established. If a malicious witness arises to accuse a person of wrongdoing, then both parties to the dispute shall appear before the Lord, before the priests and the judges who are in office in those days. The judges shall inquire diligently, and if the witness is a false witness and has accused his brother falsely, then you shall do to him as he had meant to do to his brother. So you shall purge the evil from your midst. And the rest shall hear and fear, and shall never again commit any such evil among you. Your eye shall not pity. It shall be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for.
Verse 15 says, "A single witness shall not suffice. Only on the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses shall a charge be established." Right away, we see something powerful. God builds a safeguard into his justice system. He knows human nature. He knows that people can lie. He knows that people can misunderstand. He knows that accusations can destroy lives. So he creates a fail-safe system. 1 witness is not enough. 2 is the minimum. Not the ideal, just the minimum. Why? Because the stakes are high. Reputation, freedom, even life itself. God is not careless with justice, and neither should we be. In ancient Israel, a witness wasn't just someone who observed something. Often, the witness was the one bringing the charge. In capital cases, the witness could even be required to participate in carrying out the sentence. That meant this was serious business. You couldn't casually accuse someone. You were accountable for your words. And then comes the weightier matter, the malicious witness. If someone knowingly lies, if they deliberately bring a false charge, God commands that they receive the very punishment they intended for their victim. Think about that. If they falsely accused someone of a crime punishable by imprisonment, they would bear that sentence. If they falsely accused someone of a capital crime, they themselves would face the death penalty. Why such severity? Because false testimony is not a small sin. It destroys lives. It tears families apart. It corrupts justice. It poisons communities. A lie in a courtroom is not just a lie, it is weaponized deception. God says, "You shall do to him as he had meant to do to his brother. So you shall purge the evil from your midst." Notice the purpose, to purge evil. God's justice is not about revenge. It is about preserving righteousness in the community. It is about protecting the innocent. It is about creating a society where truth matters. And then verse 20 tells us the reason plainly. "The rest shall hear and fear, and shall never again commit any such evil among you." There it is, healthy fear. Today, we are often told that fear has no place in justice, but God says that a proper fear of consequences restrains evil. Human beings in our fallen nature need guardrails. We need accountability. We need to know that lies carry weight. When consequences are real, people think twice. God's system assumes something about us, that without accountability, evil multiplies. But with justice firmly applied, evil is restrained. Now, before we read eye for eye, tooth for tooth and misunderstand it, remember, this was not permission for personal vengeance. It was a limit on punishment. It meant the penalty must fit the crime. No more, no less. It ensured measured justice, not escalating revenge. But this passage does more than teach about ancient courts. It speaks to us today. How often do we bear false witness, not in a courtroom, but in conversation? How often do we repeat something we don't fully know is true? How often do we assume motives? How often do we damage someone's reputation with careless words? The 9th commandment says, "You shall not bear false witness." That applies on Sunday morning and Monday afternoon. It applies in the church, in the workplace, in our homes. Our words have power. They can imprison. They can execute reputations. They can condemn. God cares deeply about truth because he himself is truth. When we distort truth, we reflect not his character, but the enemy's. This passage reminds us that justice matters to God, truth matters to God, integrity matters to God. And it also reminds us of something else, how grateful we should be for mercy. Because if every false word we've ever spoken were judged strictly, who among us would stand? The law shows us God's standard, and that standard is holy. But it also drives us to humility. It drives us to examine our hearts. It drives us to speak carefully, honestly, and with reverence. So what do we take from this? Guard your words, value truth, support justice, fear God more than you fear man, because a community built on truth stands strong. A community poisoned by lies collapses from within. May we be people whose testimony is faithful, whose words are trustworthy, and whose fear of the Lord keeps us walking in righteousness. Amen.